Kyrat, a beautiful land, mountains, and rich culture. However, it suffers from a raging civil war. When we first arrive, we are told that we are the savior. We play as the son who returns home to fulfill his mother's dying wish. But Far Cry 4 is a game that makes you look at the corrupt system and realize that the only thing more dangerous than a tyrant is the revolution trying to replace him at the cost of the whole country. AJ is merely a tool. He is a blank slate, which two competing ideologies are projected onto. You're caught between the two leaders of the Golden Path, Amita and Sabal. On paper, their goals are the same: dismantle Pagan Min's regime. In practice, they are two sides of a coin that neither the player nor Kyrat should want as their leader. Mohan killed a little girl over his wife cheating and started a terrorist organization out of revenge, and that's how the Golden Path was born. The characters. Nor badmouths the human rights condition of Kyrat. However, she was then reinvited to Kyrat and forced into becoming a general of Pagan by threatening her family's lives. Nor wants you to get rid of the Blur because he supposedly has her family, who Nor doesn't know were killed ages ago, according to the Blur. And Sabal or Amita want you to get rid of Nor because she's been running a murder sport for God knows how long, and she was killing innocent people. Longinus provides AJ weapons and tools during his adventure in Kyrat. He found God when he nearly died during a civil war in his country. He was injured and then baptized by the waters of Goka Falls. After you help Longinus with his redemption to God, he says has fulfilled his mission in Kyrat and announces that he's leaving. He gives AJ the LK-1018 as a gift for all his hard work just before he departs for good. AJ questions where he will be going, to which Longinus replies that he will be traveling to South America or Cuba to follow the blood diamonds sold there. Now, I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure you see a note talking about him in Far Cry 6, because South America or Cuba, that's basically where Far Cry 6 is set, but you don't actually see him in the game. Reggie and Yogi. These two outsiders are guests of Nor and therefore guests of King Min. Allowing them to reside in Kyrat is an act of unimaginable kindness. The gratitude can be seen on their faces each and every day. They always trick AJ to try their drugs every time they meet. Personally, I like them, but I saw that many people found them annoying, and especially their missions. They don't really have any character development during the story. Herc is a returning character in the franchise. He's been it since Far Cry 3, and he's one of my favorites actually. I really liked his dynamic with Ajay. Willis Huntley, a CIA agent who appears in multiple games. He's an asshole to AJ, pardon my French, but that's very in character for him. He's pretty funny and his missions are pretty good. He has very clear goals and does anything he has to achieve them. He's a greatly written asshole. However, it did piss me off a lot when he called Jason a SoCal douchebag, because I am a Far Cry 3 dick writer, which technically Jason was a SoCal douchebag, but he also sent Jason to deadly missions himself and claimed that he was Jason's babysitter, so that's why I have a grudge. Bajra, who is the only true neutral character in this game. Bajra was born and raised in Kyrat, and since a young age she had been in the middle of a civil war. She had to grow up way too soon, and before the age of 6, she was known by the members of the Golden Path as the reincarnation of Tarun Matara. From the beginning, it seems as though Amita is Badra's protector and was raising her, and Badra in turn trusted Amita. Even at the part of the game near the end where you meet Badra and then you choose between Amita or Sabal in the mission, it appeared that Badra supported Amita over Sabal. However, in the bonus scene after the ending, Amita claims that she sent Badra away. Sabal is a southern Kirati and the other head of the lumbering elephant that is the Golden Path. He pulls one way while Amita pulls the other, threatening to tear Kyrat apart in the process. Unlike Amita, who wishes to modernize the people of Kyrat, he is more interested in preserving Kirati traditions and continuing with the old ways. He is one of the two hidden antagonists of Far Cry 4, along with Amita. Sabal grew up in an era of a broken Golden Path. The leader Mohan Gale died when Sabal was a child, and he grew up idolizing rebel leaders' legacy. And as an adult, he set about trying to recreate the era when the Golden Path was a real threat to Pagan Min. Sabal is a traditionalist. He sees great value in culture, religious heritage, and history, and he believes that Kyrat needs the stability of tradition to bring peace to its people. Sabal often seeks moral guidance from the religious texts and the teachings of Kyrat. He also uses religion as a political tool. These views are in a direct conflict with Amita's more modernist worldview. view. Amita. Unlike Sobal, Amita urges for progress and is more interested in modernizing the country. She is one of the two hidden antagonists in Far Cry as well. Amita is from the north of Kyrat. When she was 6 years old, her parents told her she had to get married. Child marriage is traditional and commonplace in Kyrat, which also affected Ishwari Gale, who was born in 1968, and her wedding was in 1981. And this experience influenced Amita's hatred of Kirati tradition. Amita has absolutely no respect for Mohan Gale. While Sobal calls Ajay son of Mohan, Amita tends to bring up Ishwari instead. She views Kirati traditions as oppressive and backwards. She is instead the leader of the Golden Path's modern faction. She is considered the group's first official female member, and she is the reason why women are now allowed to join the Golden Path, against Mohan Gale's original wishes. She's also highly manipulative and very cold at the beginning of the game, then quickly warms up when she realizes that she can use Ajay. I am still not sure if a single word that she says is trustworthy. Ajay, who doesn't really have too big of a personality, he's a lot more quiet than Jason, and me personally, I know a lot of people might not agree, but I think his personality is best when he's with her. He's the funniest. And Ajay basically takes part in the war for really no other reason than because he's told to, and there wouldn't be a game otherwise. He doesn't have a true motivation to help the Golden Path. Yeah, sure, the royal army is evil, and they're an oppressive regime, but rebellions aren't built on something being mildly inconveniencing. The opposing forces. The game introduces a choice system that feels monumental, and as the story unfolds, you realize that these aren't choices between good or bad. They are choices between two different sides of a spectrum. Amita, the progressive one, speaks of modernization, education, and women's rights, but beneath that, she is a pragmatist willing to sacrifice everything: her people's culture, their religion, and their safety. She also wants to turn Kyrat into a narco state, and in her bonus scene after the ending, she is a brutal dictator. She is against child marriage, but mentally and physically scars child soldiers in wars. It turns out Amita becomes a much worse villain than Pagan Min by separating the men from their daughters and hinting that she killed Bajra. Sobal, who presents himself as the traditionalist, he speaks of heritage, faith, and the soul of Kyrat, but his path is one of stagnation and religious extremism. He upholds regressive, harmful traditions that suppress women and demand absolute, blind obedience. He doesn't mind making Bajra, who is way too young, into the Tarun Matara. There is no correct choice. If you pick Amita, you get a drug-funded dictatorship. If you pick Sobal, you get a fanatical, backwards regime. Both leaders will eventually demand you eliminate the other, and both will eventually prove that they are willing to do whatever is necessary to keep their power, including killing innocents. The villain. And then there's Pagan Min, the villain, who ironically is often the most honest person in the game. He never pretends to be a savior, he never lies about his own brutality. He's charming, witty, and kind to Ajay. When you finally confront him, the game pulls its best trick. It allows you to kill him, but it also allows you the option to just let him leave. You two go and see the family history, and then he leaves Kyrat on his own terms. It forces you to realize that maybe, just maybe, the chaos of the civil war was worse than the stability of the tyrant. Who you end up choosing is a matter of bias. In reality, there is no good or bad guy, everyone sucks. But there's a reason why people think Pagan is a good guy, and it's simply because he is a good guy to you, the player. Sobal and Amita betray you directly, which is personal, and end up using you to do their dirty work. Pagan is honest with you from the very start and never directly puts you in harm's way. Sobal and Amita hurt you, while Pagan hurts everyone but you. Hence, the bias. A fun fact for you, Alex Hutchinson, the writer of the games, said that originally there was a path to take Pagan's side, and when you would do Outpost, you could give it to Pagan. Shangri-La. Shangri-La is a fictional place in Tibet's Kunlun Mountains, described in the 1933 novel Lost Horizon by the British author James Hilton. Hilton portrays Shangri-La as a mystical, harmonious valley gently guided from a lamasery enclosed in the western end of Kunlun Mountains. In the novel, people who live in Shangri-La are almost immortal, living hundreds of years beyond the normal lifespan and only very slowly aging in appearance. And in Far Cry 4, Shangri-La has become synonymous with an earthly paradise, particularly a mythical Himalayan utopia, an enduringly happy land isolated from the world. Ancient Tibetan scriptures mention, I'm not going to be able to say that correctly, but Enya Bayul Kembalum, one of 7 utopian Bayuls which Tibetan Buddhists believe were established in the 9th century AD Shangri by Padmasambhava as hidden sacred places of refuge for Buddhists during times of strife. Shangri-La is a mythological location in Far Cry 4. Aside from being the fabled place in Nepalese legends, in Kyrat beliefs, this is considered to be the place where goddess Kyrat attained nirvana. Shangri-La is accessed first by the player during a mission for Yogi and Reggie. After the mission is completed, the player will be given the location of 4 other Thankas, each one giving access to Shangri-La mission. Shangri-La missions have their own chronological order and are independent from the location of the Thankas. In each mission, the player plays as a Kirati warrior, Kalinag, and is accompanied by a tiger. Now let's talk about the best and the worst parts of this game, because you can't criticize something without highlighting the good and the bad, because one wouldn't exist without the other. For me personally, the best part was the notes and the world building, which is synonymous with the notes. I found the world building to be really incredible in this game. How you can find out the history of the Golden Path and your parents, and just these notes. They were so filled with life, and it really felt like you were there in that world, and it didn't just feel like a sandbox, it made it feel like an actual world. They also really refined the gameplay with 4. A lot of the clunkiness from 3 is gone. The wingsuits, the bait, the grappling hook, and so much more has been added and improved, which makes the game feel smoother. I really enjoyed the moral ambiguity, because both sides have elements of being right while still being morally bad. I'm talking about Amita and Sabal, and that's the point, to explore that conflict between people often leads to messy methods to achieve their goals. And that was the beauty of the story, being constantly presented with that struggle of who is more right and who is more wrong, and whether you actually can choose the right side. Adding on to the world building part, even the side missions in this game sometimes have great stories. For example, the Golden Path supplies mission actually ends in a really big twist, and if you read all the notes, you will have your mind blown. It's actually a really good mission, and it's just supposed to be a side thing that is basically optional. The worst part, it is repetitive, but all Far Cry games are repetitive to an extent. Ubisoft does that a lot. And another thing that I noticed, that in the very first mission, Ajay is just killing dozens of bad guys without a second thought. I personally think that should have been taken more seriously, because taking a life is actually a huge deal for the average person. The collectibles, which are present in most Ubisoft games. However, I do want to point out that one of the collectibles was actually really good. The Masks of Yalung, I really enjoyed that. I loved reading the notes, and it actually felt eerie. It felt disturbing to see them. So that's a way that you can do collectibles the right way. Conclusion: the cycle of violence. Far Cry 4 doesn't include saving the country. You're basically just witnessing a tragedy. The game is about the realization that in war, the good guys are often just the people who haven't gained power yet, and by the end, you're left with a hollow victory. No matter who sits on the throne, the blood remains. You came to Kyrat to bury your mother. Instead, you end up burying the dream of a better future. Thank you all so much for watching. This was my little analysis on Far Cry 4. It was definitely shorter, and the script was a little different. I'm still trying new things in the series, so I'm still not sure what the format that I want to do is. So let me know if this is better or if this is worse, and I'm always open to criticism. But if you like this, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe, and I'll see you when I see you. And before you go, tell me, who did you side with, Amita or Sabal? Goodbye!